Don't drink that. 3 words, a stranger's voice, a bartender's desperate whisper that saves the most dangerous man in the city from certain death. But here's the question. Would you risk everything to warn someone you've never met? Because that's exactly what Eva Carter did on a Thursday night at the Vignette Club, and it cost her the quiet, invisible life she'd spent 5 years building. The note trembles in Dominic Vale's hand, blue ink on a cocktail napkin, hastily scrawled, "Don't drink it. Smile and leave now." He doesn't smile. Men like him, men who control half the city's underground without spilling blood, don't smile in rooms like this, rooms where power hums beneath crystal chandeliers, where every handshake has a price, where every drink could be your last. But he reads those words twice. Then he looks up at the woman who slid them across polished mahogany. Young, brown eyes wide with terror, hands steady despite the fear. She's already turning away, wiping down glasses like nothing happened. Like she didn't just accuse someone in this room of attempted murder. The wine sits before him, deep red, perfectly poured. His second in command, Marcus Reno, had ordered it personally with that easy grin and smooth voice. The best for Mr. Vale, nothing but excellence. The music throbs. Neon bleeds through frosted windows. The Vignette Club is alive with the kind of crowd that knows better than to ask questions. Dominic's fingers tighten on the napkin. 20 years of surviving betrayal have taught him to trust his instincts. And right now, every instinct is screaming, "Believe her." He watches her reflection in the mirror behind the bar. She's gripping the counter edge, knuckles white, breathing shallow. She's not lying, she's terrified. Marcus leans in, all charm. "Something wrong, boss?" Dominic sets down the glass, untouched. "We're leaving." Marcus blinks, his smile flickering. "Now, but we just..." Now. But Dominic doesn't head for the exit. He walks toward the bar, toward the girl who just saved his life and signed her own death warrant in the process. When he reaches her, he keeps his voice low. "Dangerous." "How did you know?" She freezes. "Know what?" "That I shouldn't drink it." Her throat moves. Just instinct. People don't risk their lives on instinct. "I did." Her voice is small but steady. Dominic leans closer. "What's your name?" "Eva." "Eva." He lets the syllables settle. "You just saved my life, which means someone in this room tried to end it. And I need to know why you cared enough to stop them." Behind them, his bodyguards, Rourke and Eli, move closer, reading the situation. Dominic straightens. "Rourke, bring her." Eva's eyes widen. "Wait, you're coming with me until I know who wants me dead and why you were willing to risk everything to warn me." His tone leaves no room for negotiation. Rourke's hand closes on her elbow, firm but not brutal. As they guide her toward the back exit, Eva catches her friend Clara's eye across the room. The bar manager's face is pale with shock. Eva shakes her head slightly. "I don't know what I just did." The night air hits her, cold, sharp, real. A black car waits, engine purring. Eva hesitates. "Where are you taking me?" Dominic slides into the car, his gray eyes meeting hers. "Somewhere safe, for both of us." "I didn't do anything wrong." "I know." His voice softens just slightly. "That's why you're still alive." It's not a threat, it's a fact. Eva climbs in. The door closes. The locks click. As the city lights blur past tinted windows, she realizes with cold clarity she just stepped into the same world that killed her father 5 years ago. The only question now is whether she'll survive it. 6 hours earlier, Ava's biggest worry was making rent. She'd arrived at the Vignette Club at 6, tying her apron with practiced efficiency. Thursday nights brought decent tips, enough to keep her small studio and her carefully constructed anonymity intact. The club was elegant in a dangerous way. Velvet booths, crystal chandeliers, the kind of place where illegal transactions look like luxury and everyone pretended not to notice. Ava had worked here 8 months, long enough to recognize the regulars, long enough to know which conversations to forget, long enough to understand that survival meant staying invisible. "You're quiet today," Clara said, appearing with a tray of empties. 28, vibrant, anchored in the normal world Eva barely remembered. "More than usual." "Just tired." Eva forced a smile. "Didn't sleep well." "The dreams again?" Ava's hands stilled on the glass she was polishing. "Yeah." Clara didn't push. She never did. It was why Ava trusted her, as much as she trusted anyone. The truth was simpler and more complicated than nightmares. Eva Carter wasn't her real name. It had been Elena Marquez once, back when her father was alive. Back when she believed people like him could walk away from underground work and live to see their daughters grow up. She'd been 19 when they found Miguel Marquez, slumped over his kitchen table. Glass of whiskey still in hand, eyes open, staring at nothing. "Heart attack," the coroner said. But Ava had seen the way his eyes looked, glassy, distant, and she'd found the note 3 days later, hidden in his toolbox. "If anything happens, run. Change your name, trust no one." So she had. Dark hair became honey blonde. Los Angeles became Chicago. The daughter of a cartel courier became a bartender who asked no questions. This place is loud enough to hide anything, she thought, watching the early crowd. Even who I really am. "Table 6 needs another round," Clara said. "And heads up, Mr. Capelli's here again." Ava nodded, but her attention shifted to the door. 3 men entered, not regulars. The first was older, silver hair, tailored suit, eyes that swept the room like a predator assessing prey. The second was younger, mid-30s, with an easy smile that didn't reach his eyes. The third made Eva's breath catch. Dominic Vale. She'd never seen him in person, but she'd memorized his face from newspapers. The white American boss who'd inherited his organization at 30. Who'd survived 3 coups and 2 federal investigations without a single conviction. They called him the architect, not because he built things, but because he dismantled opposition. With such precision, no one realized they'd been destroyed until it was over. Tall, gray suit, perfectly tailored. Dark hair silvered at the temples, face carved from granite, and eyes, pale gray, cold as winter, that swept the room with tactical precision. They landed on her. For one heartbeat, Eva forgot to breathe. He saw her, not just at her, into her. Then he looked away and moved toward a private booth. 2 bodyguards materialized, one older and stone-faced, one younger and eager. Clara whistled softly. That's Dominic Vale. Technically owns this place, but never shows up. First time I've seen him in 3 years. Why tonight? Eva's voice sounded distant. Who knows, maybe reminding people he exists. Clara shrugged. Either way, we'd better be perfect. The second man, Marcus Reno from the Whispered Names, slid into the booth across from Dominic. They spoke quietly, heads close. Marcus laughed at something. Dominic didn't. Eva watched from the corner of her eye, that old survival instinct kicking in. Pay attention. The moment you stop watching is the moment they get you. Her father's voice, his only real gift to her. Something felt wrong. The air too thick. Marcus's smile too wide. Eva turned back to her station, wiping glasses mechanically. Not your problem, not your world. Keep your head down. But even as she told herself that, she could feel the night shifting, like a storm gathering just beyond the horizon. 20 minutes later, Marcus approached the bar. He leaned on the counter, all smooth confidence. "Evening, pour the best red you've got. Mr. Vale doesn't settle for less than perfection." Eva nodded, reaching for the reserve cabinet. Select the bottle, check the vintage. Uncork with practiced efficiency. But every nerve screamed wrong. Marcus was too relaxed, too casual for someone serving the most powerful man in the room. "This is our 2015 Barolo," Eva said, setting the bottle down. "Perfect. I'm sure he'll appreciate it." Marcus's smile widened. "You're new here, aren't you?" 8 months. "Time flies." His eyes traveled over her face. "Pretty girl like you must get tired of serving men like us." Men like us. The phrase made her skin crawl. "It's a job," Eva said neutrally, turning to grab a wineglass from the upper shelf. And in that moment, her back to him, she saw it. In the mirror's reflection, between bottles of amber and gold, Marcus's hand slipped into his jacket. The movement was smooth, practiced. He pulled out a small vial, unlabeled, just clear glass catching light. And with casual ease, he tilted it over the empty wineglass. 3 drops, colorless, silent. Then he pocketed the vial and straightened, expression unchanged. Eva's heart slammed against her ribs. Not again. Not like Dad. The memory hit hard. Her father slumped over the table, hand curled around the glass, eyes glassy and distant. The way the liquid had looked so innocent. The way she'd known someone had murdered him. Her hands shook as she poured wine into the poisoned glass. "If I do nothing, Dominic Vale dies tonight. If I say something, Marcus knows I saw. And I'm next, 3/4 full. Dad tried to warn someone once about poison in medicine meant for sick children, and they killed him for it, full. But if I stay silent, I'm no better than the people who killed him." Eva's hand hovered. Then, in one smooth motion, she knocked over the glass. "Oh, I'm so sorry." She grabbed a towel, soaking up spilled wine. "I'm so clumsy tonight. Let me pour another." Marcus's jaw tightened, but his smile stayed fixed. "No problem. Accidents happen." Eva grabbed a fresh, clean glass and poured again. Her hands still shook, but she forced them steady. It's not enough. He needs to know. He needs to not drink anything Marcus brings him. She set the fresh glass on a tray, mind racing. Behind her, Clara chatted with a customer. The music throbbed. The crowd laughed. Eva grabbed a cocktail napkin and pen. Her hand trembled as she wrote 4 words, desperate and fast. "Don't drink it. Smile. Smile so Marcus wouldn't notice. Smile and leave before the poison did its work." She folded the napkin and placed it under a glass of water on the tray. "Here." She handed everything to Marcus. "With our compliments." Marcus's eyes narrowed. "What's the water for?" "Mr. Vale looked thirsty. I thought he might appreciate options." Weak, barely plausible, but all she had. Marcus studied her, weighing, calculating, then nodded. Thoughtful. As he walked back, Eva's legs threatened to give out. What did I just do? She watched, couldn't stop watching as Marcus set the tray down. As Dominic reached for the wine, expression unreadable, as his fingers brushed the napkin beneath the water glass. He paused, picked it up, unfolded it, read it. Then, slowly, deliberately, he set down the wine without drinking. His eyes lifted, found hers across the crowded room. And in that moment, Eva knew 3 things with absolute certainty. She'd just saved his life. She'd just made herself a target. There was no going back. Some people notice things others miss. Eva's gift, or curse, was seeing the danger before it struck. If this story is pulling you in, let me know with a like and subscribe. More romance and suspense await. Dominic read the note 3 times. Don't drink it. Smile. 4 words that made no sense and perfect sense simultaneously. His instincts, honed through 20 years of surviving betrayal, told him to trust it. He set down the wine, untouched. Marcus noticed immediately. Not to your taste? I've had enough for tonight. Dominic's voice was even, controlled. But we're leaving, now. Marcus blinked, smile faltering for a fraction of a second. Dominic caught it, but instead of heading for the exit, he walked toward the bar. Toward the girl with terrified eyes and steady hands. The crowd parted without him asking. When he reached her, Eva was wiping glasses, shoulders rigid, breathing shallow. How did you know? His voice was low. She froze. Know what? That I shouldn't drink it. Her hands stilled. Just a feeling. People don't risk their lives on feelings. Eva finally looked up. Her eyes were deep brown, wary, like a forest animal, deciding whether to run. Maybe it's just basic decency, she whispered. Decency. The word tasted strange. In a place like this? Even here? They stared at each other, 2 people from opposite worlds, connected by one reckless act. Dominic straightened. What's your name? Ava. Ava, you just saved my life, which means someone in this room tried to end it. I need to know why you cared enough to warn me. Her throat moved. I've seen what poison looks like. I didn't want to see it again. The words landed like stones. She's seen it before. She knows exactly what she's talking about. Dominic made his decision. Rourke. The older bodyguard appeared. Bring her. Ava's eyes widened. Wait, you're coming with me until I know who wants me dead and why you risked everything to stop them. His tone was final. Rourke's hand closed on her elbow, firm but professional. As they guided her toward the exit, Eva caught Clara's eye. Her friend stood frozen, face pale. Eva shook her head. I don't know. The night air was cold and sharp. A black car waited, engine purring. Eva hesitated. Where are you taking me? Dominic slid into the car. Somewhere safe, for both of us. I didn't do anything wrong. I know. His voice quieted. That's why you're still breathing. Not a threat, a fact. Eva climbed in. The door closed, locks clicked. As city lights blurred past, Marcus Reno stood on the curb, watching them go. His smile had finally dropped, and the expression underneath was cold enough to kill. The penthouse was silent as a tomb. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, lights sprawling like fallen stars. Furniture in sharp lines and muted tones. Everything expensive. Everything cold. Eva stood in the living room center, arms crossed, heartbeat too loud. Dominic removed his jacket, draping it over a chair. His white shirt was crisp beneath, movements precise. Rourke and Eli took positions by door and window, silent sentinels. Dominic poured water from a crystal decanter. Not wine, not tonight. Sit. I'd rather stand. His mouth almost twitched. Suit yourself. He set down the glass and studied her with those pale gray eyes, assessing, calculating. Who sent you? No one. Try again. Ava lifted her chin. I'm a bartender. I work at the Vignette Club. 8 months. I don't know you. I don't work for anyone except Clara Rossi, the bar manager. I saw something wrong and I acted. That's all. People don't risk their lives for strangers. I told you I saw what poison looks like. Yes. Dominic's eyes narrowed. Explain. Ava's breath caught. She hadn't meant to reveal that. My father. Her voice barely rose above a whisper. He died 5 years ago. Heart attack, they said. But I knew better. How? Because 3 days before, he told me someone was watching him. That he'd seen something he shouldn't have. That if anything happened, I should run. Ava's hands curled into fists. I found him at the kitchen table, whiskey glass still in his hand, eyes open, just staring. Something shifted in Dominic's eyes. Recognition, maybe. And did you run? Yes. The admission tasted like ash. Changed my name, dyed my hair, started over where no one knew me. Until tonight. Until tonight. Silence stretched heavy between them. What was your father's real name? Eva hesitated. This could get her killed, but she was already too deep. Miguel Marquez. Dominic went very still. He worked for the Salazar cartel, Eva continued quietly. Small jobs, transportation, but he saw something. Poisoned medicine going to children's hospitals, creating demand for black market alternatives. He tried to warn someone. 3 days later, he was dead. Dominic's jaw tightened. Salazar, you know them? They're gone, wiped out 3 years ago in a territorial war. Every major player, every lieutenant. Eva's stomach dropped. Gone. Dead or disappeared. Dominic's gaze locked on hers. Which means whoever killed your father either died with them or survived by switching allegiances. The implications settled like ice water. The poison Marcus used tonight, colorless, tasteless, mimics cardiac arrest. It's a Salazar signature, the method they used for high-profile eliminations. Eva's legs gave out. She sank into the chair. I think you recognized it because you've seen it before. Lived with the aftermath. Dominic crouched in front of her, gray eyes level with hers. And I think whoever wants me dead has direct ties to the people who killed your father. The room tilted. I can't be involved in this. I left that world. You're already involved. The moment you swapped that glass, you became a witness. Witnesses are liabilities. If they know you saw Marcus poison that wine, they'll come after you. Then let me go. I'll disappear. They'll find you. Dominic stood. You don't have resources, no security, no network. They'll hunt you because you're the only person who can testify it wasn't just an accident. Eva's breath came shallow. So what are you saying? You're safer here, with me, until I find out who ordered this and why Marcus betrayed me after 6 years. And then we'll see. Not a promise, but not a death sentence. Ava looked up at him, this man whose life she'd saved, who now held hers. Why do you care about finding them? You survived. You could just move on. Dominic's expression hardened. Because betrayal doesn't end with one attempt. It ends when the traitor is eliminated. There was something cold in his voice. Final. But beneath it, Eva heard something else. Fear, not of death, but of who had betrayed him. You can take the guest room. Rourke will stay outside, not to keep you in, but to keep others out. Eva nodded numbly. As she stood, Dominic added quietly, "Thank you for the warning. You didn't have to give it." Eva met his eyes. "Yes, I did." And for the first time that night, Dominic Vale almost smiled. Eva didn't sleep. How could she, trapped in a powerful man's penthouse? She sat on the guest bed edge, staring at the door, mind cycling through terrible outcomes. He could kill me, use me as bait, hand me over. But he could have done any of those already. Instead, a room, a guard, protection. Why? At dawn, Eva ventured out. The apartment was quiet. Dominic sat at a glass desk surrounded by monitors and files. Shirt sleeves rolled up, tie gone, shadows under his eyes. He looked up. "Can't sleep? Can you?" "Not tonight." His voice carried exhaustion. "Coffee? Please." He poured 2 cups, black, strong. Eva took hers gratefully. "What are you looking for?" She nodded at the screens. "Proof. Marcus was my second for 6 years. I need to know if he acted alone or if others are involved." Eva moved closer, her pattern recognition instinct kicking in. One screen showed financial records, columns of numbers and codes. Something felt wrong. "Can I see that?" Dominic raised an eyebrow but turned the monitor. Eva scanned the entries. "These shipment codes aren't following your standard format." "How so?" "Here, shipment 47C. Your normal codes are 2-digit number, single letter, 3-letter region code. This one's missing the region. And here, same thing, 4 times last month, all approved by Marcus." Dominic leaned forward, focus sharpening. "What else?" "The amounts are too round. Exactly 50,000. Exactly 75,000. Real transactions have cents attached, processing fees, exchange rates. These look manufactured. He's been moving money off the books, paying someone." "Can you trace where it went?" "Not from here, but I know someone who can." He pulled out his phone, typing rapidly. A response came within seconds. Dominic stood. "Get dressed. We're going to Marcus's apartment." "Now?" Eva's pulse jumped. "Why?" "Because if he's dirty, there'll be evidence. And I need it before whoever hired him cleans up." Marcus Reno's apartment was sleek, financial district high-rise with marble lobbies. Rourke disabled security cameras in under 2 minutes. The door was unlocked. Dominic pushed it open slowly, Rourke and Eli flanking, weapons drawn. Eva stayed close. The apartment was silent. They found Marcus in the living room. Leather chair, head tilted back, eyes open and empty. Whiskey glass on the side table, half empty. Eva's breath caught, just like Dad. Same position, same glass, same glassy stare. Dominic approached, expression unreadable. He didn't touch the body. "Suicide?" Eli asked uncertainly. "Staged?" Rourke's assessment was clinical. "Look at the neck angle and the glass. No fingerprints on the rim, wiped down." Dominic crouched, studying the scene. He was dead before placement here, poisoned elsewhere, then moved, made to look self-inflicted. Eva's voice was small. "Why?" Dominic stood, eyes cold as winter. "Because Marcus was a loose end. Whoever hired him decided he was more dangerous alive. Dead men don't talk, don't make mistakes." The weight settled like a shroud. "So he didn't act alone," Eva whispered. "No. And whoever's behind this is thorough, professional, cleaning up the trail. He turned to Rourke. Call it in. Anonymous tip. Suspected overdose. We were never here. As they left, Eva glanced back at Marcus's body. This is the world I'm in now, where betrayal is terminal, where death comes in a glass. Walking beside her, Dominic looked more dangerous than ever, because someone else had already done what needed doing. And that someone was still out there, watching, cleaning up loose ends. Eva realized with cold certainty she might be next on that list. Back at the penthouse, the weight pressed down like a physical thing. Eva stood at the window, arms wrapped around herself, staring at the indifferent city below. Dominic poured 2 glasses of water, setting one beside her. You should eat something. I'm not hungry. You need strength. Eva turned to him, exhaustion in every line. For what? More death? More running? Because that's what my father did. Survived day after day until one day it killed him fast. Dominic was quiet. Then, what else did he tell you? Eva's throat tightened. That the life he lived wasn't what he wanted. That he got in too deep, too young, and by the time he realized what he'd become, it was too late to get out. He told me not to make his mistakes, to stay away from men with power, men who make choices that cost lives, men like me. I was going to say men who can't escape their own empires. Eva looked at him, really looked. Beneath the sharp edges and cold control, she saw something achingly familiar, weariness, regret, ghosts. Why do you do it? She asked quietly. This life. If it costs this much, why not walk away? Dominic's expression darkened. He moved to the window beside her. Because I tried, after my brother died. Eva went still. Your brother? Vincent. His voice was flat, the way people sound when pain is too deep to name. 3 years younger, idealistic, believed we could change things from inside. Make the organization cleaner, more human. What happened? He trusted the wrong person, got caught in a power play he didn't see coming. Dominic's hands curled into fists. They killed him to send me a message. That loyalty means nothing when profit's on the line. That compassion is weakness, that the only way to survive is to be harder than everyone else. Eva's chest tightened. I'm sorry. Don't be. It taught me everything. Trust is currency. Most people are bankrupt. But you trusted Marcus for 6 years, through 3 internal challenges, 2 federal investigations. I trusted him with my life. He stopped, jaw working, and he sold me out for whoever paid more than loyalty was worth. Eva stepped closer. You didn't die because I warned you. Dominic met her gaze. Why did you? Really, you didn't know me. Didn't owe me anything. Eva's breath shook. Because I couldn't watch another person die the way my father did, alone, poisoned by people he thought he could trust. I couldn't stand there knowing I could stop it and choose to do nothing. Tears pricked her eyes. My father died because he tried to do the right thing, to stop innocent people, children, from being hurt, and I've spent 5 years hating myself for running, for not being brave enough to finish what he started. You survived, Dominic said quietly. That took courage too. No, survival is just fear with a better story. Ava's voice broke. But tonight, when I saw Marcus poison that glass, I had a choice. Stay afraid and stay safe, or do what my father would have done. Even though it put you at risk, yes. Even though I'm from the same world that killed him, yes. Because maybe not everyone in that world deserves to die. Maybe some people are trying to be better. Dominic searched her face, looking for deception. There wasn't any. You didn't save me because I deserved it, he said quietly. You saved me because you didn't want to see another person die like your father. Because you're still fighting his fight. Eva nodded, unable to speak. Dominic reached out slowly and rested his hand on her shoulder. Warm, steady, human. Thank you for your courage, even when you were terrified, for seeing me as someone worth saving. Eva looked up through blurred vision. What happens now? Now we find out who's really behind this, who hired Marcus, who killed him, and we make sure they can't hurt either of us again. How? Together, you see patterns I miss, you have instincts I need, and I have resources you don't. Protection, access. You want me to help hunt a professional killer? I want us to survive, same as I'm helping you. His gray eyes held hers. We're both targets. The only question is whether we face it alone or together. Not a promise of safety, a promise of partnership. And for the first time since her father died, Eva felt something other than fear. Purpose, connection, the fragile beginning of trust. Okay, she whispered. Together. Dominic nodded, relief crossing his features. They stood in the penthouse silence, two people haunted by the same ghosts, bound by the same choice to fight back. Outside, the city glittered, beautiful and dangerous and utterly indifferent. An alliance was forming, built on shared loss, mutual need, and tentative hope. Maybe they could both survive this, together. Over the next 3 days, Eva became an investigator. Dominic taught her how to read his world, coded manifests, hidden financial meanings, patterns separating legitimate business from blood money. She was good at it. Her bartender's gift for reading people translated seamlessly to reading data. You have natural talent, Dominic said one afternoon, watching her trace transactions across shell companies, pattern recognition, detail attention most people miss. Eva shrugged, eyes never leaving the screen. Bartending teaches you to notice things. Who's drinking too fast? Who's lying? Who's about to start a fight? This is just numbers instead of people. And now I'm noticing who's trying to kill you, she pointed. These payments all route through the same shell company eventually, Orpheum Holdings. Dominic leaned in, focus sharpening. Orpheum. Means something? The Orpheum Theater, downtown, closed 15 years, but it's also a known front, used by freelance operatives for off-book deals, weapons, information, contract work. Like hiring someone to poison someone? Exactly. Eva's pulse quickened. So whoever's behind this might be there. Or left records. Dominic stood. We're going tonight. We? He looked at her steadily. You've proven yourself. You see things others miss. And frankly, I trust your eyes more than anyone else's right now. The words landed with unexpected weight. He trusts me. Okay, Eva said. Let's find them. The Orpheum Theater loomed in darkness, forgotten glamour. Boarded windows, cracked marquee, silence suggesting buried secrets. Dominic, Rourke, Eli, and Eva approached from the alley, moving like shadows. Eva wore dark jeans and a fitted jacket Dominic provided. She felt out of place, but focused. Dominic's hand on her arm steadied her. Stay close. If something goes wrong, you run, understand? I'm not leaving you. His eyes softened slightly. Stubborn. Practical. They slipped inside. The theater was a tomb, rotting seats, moth-eaten curtains. Eva pulled out blueprints she'd studied. Main office backstage, left corridor, second door. They moved through darkness, footsteps muffled. The office door was ajar, light bleeding through. Inside, a man sat at an antique desk, impeccably dressed despite the decay. Silver hair, expensive suit, pleasant face until you saw his eyes. He looked up, unsurprised. Mr. Vale, his voice was smooth as silk, cultured. I wondered when you'd find me. Silas Hawke, Dominic's tone was ice. The broker. Silas smiled, spreading his hands in a gesture of mock welcome. Guilty as charged. Please, come in. I've been expecting you. You hired Marcus to kill me. I facilitated a transaction. Silas leaned back in his chair, utterly relaxed. What Marcus chose to do with the resources I provided was his decision, though I must say, his eyes flicked to Eva. I'm impressed you survived. Most don't. Dominic's hand moved toward his jacket, where Eva knew he kept a gun. But Eva spoke first, stepping forward. Why? Silas turned his full attention to her, amusement flickering in his cold eyes. And who's this? The little bartender who played hero? How charming. Answer her question, Dominic said coldly. Silas shrugged, unbothered by the threat. Why does anyone want anyone dead, my dear? Power, money, control. He gestured casually. Mr. Vale has been consolidating territory, going legitimate, cutting ties with the more profitable ventures. That's very bad for business, my business specifically. You make money from chaos, Eva said, understanding dawning. From fear, from people needing protection from threats you probably created. Such a quick study. Silas's smile widened. Chaos is profitable, Miss Carter. Miss Carter, yes, chaos creates demand for security, for information, for solutions to problems that wouldn't exist without a little strategic destabilization. He turned back to Dominic. You've been imposing order, making things predictable, safe. That's terrible economics. So you tried to eliminate me to destabilize the market, Dominic said flatly. Precisely, though I must admit. Silas glanced at Eva again. I didn't account for a civilian with a conscience. That was my miscalculation. Civilians usually know better than to interfere. Eva's stomach turned. You're talking about human lives like they're commodities. Because they are, my dear. Supply and demand, risk and reward, cost-benefit analysis. Silas's smile turned reptilian. Your father understood that before he became a liability. Eva's blood went cold. What did you say? Miguel Marquez, reliable man, good with logistics, until he started asking uncomfortable questions about where certain pharmaceutical shipments were really going. Silas tisked, shaking his head. Children's hospitals, if you can believe it. Poisoning cancer medication to create demand for black market alternatives. Quite ingenious, really. Except your father threatened to go to the authorities, so we handled it. The room tilted. Eva's father, her gentle, broken father, who'd read her bedtime stories and taught her to ride a bike, had tried to stop something monstrous and died for it. You killed him, she whispered. I facilitated his removal, just as I facilitated Mr. Vale's intended removal. Silas spread his hands. Nothing personal, strictly business. Dominic's gun was out now, trained steady on Silas. Give me one reason I shouldn't end you right here. Because I have insurance. Silas's voice remained calm, almost bored. 3 associates with sealed files. If I don't check in every 12 hours, those files go public. Your business holdings, Mr. D. Fail. Your political connections. Every corner you've cut. Every compromise you've made to build your clean empire. All of it exposed. You're bluffing. Am I? Silas smiled. Are you willing to risk everything you've built to find out? The silence stretched taut as a wire. Ava stepped forward, her voice trembling but clear. You said chaos is profitable, but you're wrong. Silas raised an eyebrow. Oh, chaos burns itself out. It's unsustainable. You can't build anything lasting on fear and death. Eva's hands clenched at her sides. My father knew that. Dominic knows that. And eventually, everyone you've ever worked with will realize it too. They'll turn on you the same way Marcus turned on Dominic. Because there's no loyalty in chaos, just survival. Silas laughed, a dry, brittle sound. Inspirational speech, darling. Very moving. But reality doesn't care about your morals. No, Dominic said quietly, lowering his gun. But the FBI does. Silas's smile faltered. Dominic nodded to Rourke, who stepped forward with zip ties. I'm not going to kill you, Hawk. That would make me just like you, someone who eliminates problems instead of solving them. But I am going to make sure you answer for every life you've destroyed. Silas's face twisted, composure cracking. You're making a mistake, Vale. You think turning me in saves you? They'll tear you apart too. Investigate every deal you've ever made. Maybe, Dominic's voice was steel. But I'll sleep better knowing you're in a cell, and I'd rather face justice on my feet than build an empire on corpses. As Rourke secured Silas, Eva felt something crack open inside her chest. Justice, real, imperfect, painful justice was happening. Not revenge, not murder, not another body staged to look like suicide. Accountability. Outside, sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Dominic had already made the call from a burner phone. Anonymous tip. Suspected illegal weapons dealing exact coordinates. He turned to Eva. We need to go now. They slipped out through the back, melting into shadows as federal vehicles converged on the theater. In the car, Eva's hands shook. Did we just— Yes, Dominic's voice was quiet. We just handed over one of the most dangerous men in the underground. Which means we both have targets on our backs now. Silas has associates, people who'll want revenge. Eva looked at him, fear and determination warring in her chest. What do we do? Dominic met her eyes. We disappear, both of us, until the dust settles and we know who else is involved. Together? He nodded. If you'll trust me. Eva thought of her father, of Marcus, of all the ways trust had been weaponized and broken in this world. But she also thought of the last 3 days. Dominic teaching her, listening to her, believing her when no one else would. I trust you, she said, and meant it. 6 months later, the coastal town was small, quiet, the kind of place where everyone knew everyone, and strangers were noticed but not questioned too deeply. Eva worked at a beachside bar called the Lighthouse. It was nothing like the Vignette Club. No neon, no power plays, no men in expensive suits measuring each other's worth in violence. Just tourists and locals, sunsets and sea breeze, the eternal rhythm of waves against sand. She'd dyed her hair lighter, let it grow longer, started using her real name again, Elena, not hiding anymore, just living. Dominic had set her up with a new identity, a bank account, and enough money to start over anywhere she wanted. She'd chosen here, by the ocean, where the sky was wide and the nights were calm and the morning light felt like forgiveness. Clara had visited once, smuggling news from the city. Silas Hawke was in federal custody awaiting trial. The broker's network was unraveling, one arrest at a time. His associates scrambling to cut deals and save themselves. Dominic's name had stayed clean, miraculously. He protected you, Clara had said, squeezing her hand. Made sure no one could trace you to any of it. Took the risk on himself. Ava had nodded, her throat tight. Where is he now? Gone, vanished. Some say Europe, some say South America. Clara had hesitated, but he left this for you. A phone number, nothing else. Ava had kept it folded in her wallet for 6 months, never dialing. What would I even say? Thank you for saving me? I miss you? Come back? Tonight, the bar was quiet. The last customer left at 10. Eva wiped down the counter, humming softly to herself. A song her father used to sing. The bell above the door chimed. Sorry, we're closed. She looked up and froze. Dominic Vale stood in the doorway, dressed in jeans and a gray sweater. No bodyguards, no armor, no sharp suit or sharper edges, just him. He looked different, lighter, the hard lines of his face softened by sun and distance and something else, peace, maybe. Hello, Ava. Her heart stuttered. Dominic! He stepped inside, his eyes roaming the small space, the weathered wood, the nautical decor, the view of the ocean through wide windows. Nice place. It's quiet. Quiet's good. He paused, hands in his pockets. I hope I'm not intruding. You're not. Eva set down the cloth, her pulse racing. I didn't think I'd see you again. I wasn't sure you'd want to. Why wouldn't I? Dominic's jaw tightened. Because I dragged you into my world, put you in danger, cost you your quiet life. You saved my life, Eva interrupted. More than once. You taught me, protected me, trusted me when you had every reason not to. He looked at her, surprise flickering across his face. Eva stepped closer. You could have left me in that penthouse, or handed me over to whoever came asking questions, or used me as bait. Her voice steadied. But you didn't. You chose to protect someone who had nothing to offer you except trouble. You had plenty to offer, Dominic said quietly. A courage, integrity, a conscience I'd forgotten I had. So did you. The words hung between them, fragile, true. Dominic exhaled slowly. I've been trying to figure out how to live a different life. One that's not built on fear and control and always looking over my shoulder. Any luck? Some. He smiled faintly, the first real smile she'd ever seen on his face. Turns out it's harder than I thought, but also worth it. Eva felt warmth spread through her chest. What brought you here? To this town? To, she gestured, me? You. His gray eyes held hers. I wanted to make sure you were okay, that you were safe, that you'd found. He looked around. This, peace. I did, thanks to you. Thanks to your own strength. Dominic's voice was soft. You didn't need me to survive, Eva. You never did. You're the strongest person I've ever met. Maybe not, but I'm glad you were there anyway. Silence settled, comfortable, full of things unsaid but understood. Dominic glanced at the bar. You have anything stronger than water back there? Eva laughed, the sound surprising her with its lightness. I think I can manage that. She poured 2 glasses of whiskey, sliding one across the counter. Dominic picked it up, studying it with a wry smile. Should I be worried? Only if you don't trust me. Their eyes met, and this time there was no fear, no suspicion, no calculation, just recognition, connection. The beginning of something neither had expected, but both desperately needed. Dominic raised his glass. To second chances, Eva clinked hers against his. To choosing better. They drank. And for the first time in both their lives, the silence that followed felt like peace. Dominic stayed that night, and the next, and the one after. They didn't talk about the mafia or betrayal or federal investigations. They talked about the ocean, about books neither had time to read before, about what it meant to start over when the past still whispered in quiet moments. Eva showed him the tide pools at dawn, small ecosystems thriving in the space between land and sea. Dominic taught her how to sail, his old military training repurposed for something gentle. They were careful with each other, two people who'd learned the hard way that trust was built in small moments, not grand gestures. One evening, sitting on the beach, watching the sun melt into the horizon, Dominic spoke quietly. "I've been thinking about what you said to Silas. That chaos isn't sustainable." Eva turned to him. "And you were right." He picked up a handful of sand, letting it sift through his fingers. "I spent 20 years trying to control everything, build an empire that couldn't be shaken. But the tighter I held on, the more fragile it became. Every piece I controlled made me a target." "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I'm done with that life, with that version of myself." Dominic met her eyes. "I sold everything, the clubs, the businesses, the properties, set up trusts for people who depended on the operations, made sure they'd be taken care of, and I walked away." Eva's throat tightened. "That's incredibly brave. It's terrifying. Same thing sometimes." He smiled. "Is that motivational wisdom or bartender philosophy?" "Both." They sat in comfortable silence, the waves rolling in their eternal rhythm. Finally, Eva said, "So what's next for the infamous architect?" "I was hoping," Dominic hesitated, vulnerability flickering across his features. "I was hoping to stay here, if that's something you'd want." Eva's heart squeezed. "You want to stay in a small beach town? No empire, no power, no control?" "I want to stay where you are." His voice was raw with honesty. "If you'll have me, if you think we could—" He stopped, searching for words. "Build something real." Eva looked at him, this man who'd once terrified her, who'd become her unlikely protector, her partner, her friend, and now, maybe, something more. "I'd like that," she whispered. Dominic reached for her hand, lacing his fingers through hers. It was the first time he'd touched her that wasn't about protection or urgency or survival. It was about choice, about hope, about a future neither had imagined, but both were brave enough to try. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of rose and gold, Eva leaned her head against Dominic's shoulder. "Do you think we'll be okay?" she asked softly. Dominic pressed a kiss to her temple, gentle, reverent. "I think we already are." And for the first time in years, Eva believed it. 1 year later, the Lighthouse Bar had grown, fresh paint, new tables, a small patio overlooking the water, where customers lingered over coffee and conversation. Eva, Elena now, fully reclaimed, managed it as co-owner alongside a retired couple who'd taken a chance on her vision. Dominic worked with a legal consulting firm, helping businesses transition from gray markets to legitimate operations. Redemption work, he called it, penance and purpose combined. They'd built a life, small, honest, theirs. Some nights, Eva still woke from nightmares. Her father's glassy eyes, Marcus's staged death, Silas's reptilian smile, the taste of fear metallic on her tongue. But Dominic was always there, steady and warm, pulling her back to safety, reminding her that the past was over and the future was still being written. Together, tonight was special. Clara had come to visit, bringing champagne and stories from the city. The Vignette Club had closed, new ownership, new name, completely renovated. Clean slate. "You're a legend there," Clara teased over dinner. "The bartender who saved a kingpin and disappeared into the sunset. They've turned it into this whole romantic myth." Eva laughed. "That's not how it happened." "Close enough for mythology." Clara raised her glass. "To Eva, the bravest person I know." "To Elena," Dominic corrected gently, his hand finding hers under the table. "The woman who chose courage over silence, who saved more than just my life." Eva's eyes stung. "To second chances, for all of us." They drank, and the evening stretched warm and easy. Friends, food, laughter, the sound of waves just beyond the windows. Later, after Clara had gone to bed in the guest room, Eva and Dominic walked along the beach. The moon was full, casting silver across the water, transforming the ordinary into something magical. "Do you miss it?" Eva asked quietly. "The power? The control? Being the architect?" Dominic considered, his thumb tracing circles on the back of her hand. "Sometimes, in the way you miss a scar, it's part of your history, shaped who you became, but you don't want it to define you forever." "And what defines you now?" He stopped walking, turning to face her. The moonlight caught in his gray eyes, making them almost luminous. "This, you, the choice to be someone better than I was." Eva smiled. "That's very inspirational. I learned from the best." She laughed, the sound carrying on the wind. Dominic pulled something from his pocket, a small velvet box. Eva's breath caught. "What's that?" "A promise." He opened it. Inside was a simple silver ring, elegant in its simplicity, engraved with 2 words in delicate script: "Trust earned." "It's not an engagement ring," Dominic said quickly. "Not yet, not unless you want it to be someday. But I wanted you to have something that represents what we've built, what we've chosen, what we've earned through everything we survived." Tears blurred Eva's vision. "In Dominic, you saved my life, Elena, not just that night at the Vignette, every day since." His voice cracked with emotion. "You showed me there's another way to live, with integrity, with compassion, with love. You're the most remarkable person I've ever known. And I don't want to spend another day without you knowing that." Eva's hands trembled as she took the ring, slipping it onto her finger. It fit perfectly. "I love you," she whispered. "I didn't think I could. Didn't think I'd ever trust anyone enough. But I do. I love you." Dominic cupped her face, his thumb brushing away her tears. "I love you too. More than I thought possible, more than I knew I was capable of." He kissed her then, soft, reverent, full of promise and hope, and the kind of love that's earned through fire. When they pulled apart, Eva rested her forehead against his. "We're really doing this, aren't we? Building something real, something that lasts. We already have." They stood on the beach, wrapped in each other and moonlight, the waves singing their ancient song of continuity and renewal. And Eva realized something profound. She wasn't running anymore. She'd found home, not in a place, but in a person. in a choice made over and over, to trust, to hope, to love without armor or fear. "Come on," Dominic murmured. "Let's go inside. It's getting cold." Eva laced her fingers through his, feeling the ring, solid and real, against her skin. "In a minute, I want to stay here a little longer." "Why?" She smiled through her tears. "Because I'm memorizing this moment, this feeling, this perfect, ordinary miracle. So I never forget what we fought for." Dominic kissed her temple. "We fought for this, for peace, for each other, for the right to choose love over fear." Was it worth it? He looked at her, this woman who'd saved him in every way that mattered, and answered with absolute certainty. Every second, every risk, every moment of fear. He smiled, "Because it led me here, to you, to us." They walked back toward their cottage, hand in hand, leaving footprints in the sand that the tide would soon erase. But the marks they'd made on each other's hearts would last forever. Behind them, the ocean whispered its eternal rhythm. And ahead, the porch light glowed warm and golden, a beacon calling them home. Some love stories begin with a glance across a crowded room, some with a chance meeting on a train platform. This one began with a warning on a napkin, 4 words that changed 2 lives forever. "Don't drink it. Smile." Eva could have stayed silent. Dominic could have ignored her. But they didn't. They chose courage. They chose trust. They chose each other, even when it was terrifying, even when it cost them everything they'd built before, even when the path forward was uncertain. Because real romance isn't about perfection or fairy tale endings. It's about 2 imperfect people deciding that together they're enough. That together they're stronger than their separate fears. It's about protection that doesn't control, strength that doesn't dominate, love that doesn't demand. It invites, it waits, it earns its place one small choice at a time. Eva and Dominic's story isn't a fairy tale. It's something better, something truer. It's a testament to the truth that redemption is possible, that second chances exist, that love, real, earned, committed love, can heal even the deepest wounds, that accountability matters more than revenge, that justice is stronger than violence, that choosing to be better is the bravest thing anyone can do. They swapped a glass at midnight and found a lifetime by dawn. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is warn a stranger. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is listen. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, very brave, very willing to risk everything for what's right, that single act of courage becomes the foundation of something beautiful, something lasting, something worth every moment of fear, every risk taken, every old life left behind. Because love isn't about finding someone perfect, it's about finding someone worth fighting for, someone worth changing for, someone worth trusting with the truth of who you really are. Eva and Dominic found that in each other, and in doing so, they found themselves. May we all be brave enough to swap the glass when we see the poison. May we all be wise enough to trust the warning when it comes. And may we all find our way home to the people who see us, save us, and choose us, over and over, until the very end. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to believe in second chances and earned love. Subscribe for more stories where courage meets compassion and love restores what fear has broken. Thank you for spending this evening with Eva and Dominic. May you find your own light in the darkness, your own courage in the quiet moments, and your own love worth fighting for. Good night and sweet dreams.